Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. I'm Papa Pepper. In this video, as people who weren't impressed with the public school system years and years ago, in fact, when our oldest daughter, Pinky Pepper, who's now what, 12? When she was 3 and Monster Truck had just been born, we went to our first homeschool conference, and we knew at that stage of the game, back in like 2012, 2013, that we were going to be home educating our children. And the classroom looks different for a lot of different people. And I'm just scratching the surface on some things that we like to do here that are a little different, but that help with the education of our children. And a lot of times I like to say that, you know, a classroom is trying to reproduce real life skills in a sterile environment. And that's really what it is. And if the children's education is somehow connected to the rest of their life, they absorb and retain that information a lot better than if it's just put in some different category. So a couple different things. This is not an in-depth homeschool one by any means, but just some things that help us that I think are potentially encouraging for others to think about too, especially as a lot of people are homeschooling anyway, and then a lot more now are choosing to because of things going on in the world. One thing that we're able to do with our homeschooling is kind of gauge things for our specific children. Now Bugger here, he's 5. He won't be 6 till next year, but when we watch him play with blocks or different toys, different manipulatives, little things he can play with, he's real good into organization. He'll gather things together and he'll make crazy patterns or do different stuff, and it's kind of cool just to watch him go. And it was because of that that I thought, when I started seeing things like this is a Lego set, but it's a Lego creator set, and they recommend that it's for kids 7 to 12. Okay, so they recommend this for him in another 2 years to even be starting something like this. But I thought, you know, this is incredibly complex. This is absolutely crazy to look at all this. If you actually look at the booklet for this, he's got to go through every single step. Here there was 3 different bags, so he was able to take the first bag, make the tail, the next bag, add a body and legs to it, and then the third bag to make the head. But it's just very meticulous. You need all of these things, so you're dealing with numbers and countings, and you're dealing with shapes, and then you follow all these steps to the point that, what's this one have? Like, yeah, over 200 steps. By 210 steps, you're going to finally be able to do it. And each piece needs to be specifically put in at a specific way, a specific orientation. They show you sometimes, let me see, I want to show them rotating. Yeah, like here's one where if this was facing a certain way, and then you've got it was facing this way, and then you have to rotate it to get it going a different direction, and then you keep going, but each time you got to add a certain number of pieces in a certain number of places, and they have to be specific. And I thought, this is meticulous. A lot of kids would not like doing this. There's plenty of children who, even at the age of, you know, their recommended 12, wouldn't want to be involved, even if they got something cool like this T-Rex or this alligator or this lion, you know, by the end of it. They wouldn't want to go through the effort and follow 210 steps before they got the reward. But this guy here, at 5, I thought he seems to be of the right mind that he'd be able to do these things. I'm going to move these ones back. Can you hold up that alligator and show me a little bit? So the alligator's mouth opens. It's got some little claws. It's got a little bird that cleans its teeth, right? What was that alligator's last meal? What did he eat last?
A fish.
A fish. So he's got a little fish skeleton left over from dinner. And, you know, each of these has to be facing the right way. It has to be put together right. And this is the one that we started them off with. It was the most complex one. These are 3 in 1. So what he can do is he can build that alligator, or he can disassemble the alligator and build a snake with the same parts and a little rat for it to eat. Or he can disassemble that and build a frog. and follow all the steps to make this little frog with the fly. And then same thing with these other ones. He also made this lion, which is pretty crazy cool looking. And the lion was a lot less complex than the alligator, right? Was it easier?
Yeah.
You already had all the experience of the big alligator, but the steps were a lot less. There's not as many parts. And then the same thing with the T-Rex here. Let's see, yeah, the lion only took 70 some, maybe 80 some. Yeah, by 80 some steps it looks like you pretty much, oh, did it make it to 100? Okay, the 100th step actually made the lion together for him. So about half the steps to make this, far less complex. We actually started him with the worst one, and then he made this T-Rex too. But you'll be able to take the T-Rex, disassemble it, make a Triceratops or a Pterodon. So kind of cool. And if he disassembles the lion, he could make one of these, an ostrich or a warthog. So kind of cool. And what we did is, while other children will work on their workbooks or doing their flashcards or doing their Bible copies, one thing we have for penmanship and for language is that our children will copy the Bible, right? You were following along recently, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
What book was I doing for devotions?
Proverbs.
Proverbs. And for a long time, she didn't even have her Bible because she had her notebook, so she was following along in her notebook. Are these some of yours, Pinky?
This is Psalm 119.
So this is Pinky's Psalm 119. Yeah. Where she's practicing her penmanship and copying stuff. So what this does is it works on penmanship, it works on punctuation, it works on spelling, but then it also helps them hide the Word of God in their hearts. So they're going. And I've actually copied, I think, the entire book of Romans into a notebook myself. Most of 1 Corinthians, going to work on some other stuff. Yeah, both with cursive, that's some old school stuff people used to do, and regular. This is the book of Proverbs?
Yeah.
What chapter?
This is chapter 5, I think.
Chapter 5, so Proverbs 5, yeah, chapter 5. 5:8 in cursive, 5:9 in pen, just regular print, 10, 11, all these different ones. And, yeah. So while kids are working on stuff like that anyway, we had Bugger here as part of his education to work on colors, to work on shapes, to work on following instructions, to work on building, to work on being creative. And what I'm looking forward to, now that he made each of the main creatures, each of the main title ones they put on top, now he's going to be able to take these apart and make these other ones as well. And after he does that, then he can probably just get creative on his own, right, Bug?
Yeah.
And just use them and make his own things and come up with stuff. And I'm really looking forward to that stage of the game, but I wanted him to get familiar with it first. And even though this is, a little advanced for his age, this is something that I knew with the way he does things, he'd be able to do. And before he mixes up all the pieces too, once he works his own way through all of the books and all of the creatures, then we're going to let some of the other children, because you guys would probably like to do some of it for fun, huh? You're 12, I guess, so this is aimed at your age group. You're 9?
It's mine and sweet peppers.
Would you like to build one of those sometime?
Yeah.
Yeah, But we figured this would be good. Normally I don't spend this much per se on just toys. I think this cost me maybe $40. But you can go and pick up just one of these for 15 or 20 right now. And we just bought the 9-in-1 because it was 3-in-1s. And did you learn quite a bit on there?
Yeah.
Yeah? Did you learn about how a book works?
Yeah.
Right? You go from front to back, from left to right. And if you do them all in order in the sequence, then you're able to do that. So, pretty cool, Bug. What did you do last night?
I caught a opossum.
You caught an opossum? What'd you use for bait?
A rotten egg.
A rotten egg?
Mm-hmm.
And it worked?
Yes, sir.
Wow. What'd you catch it in?
A life trap.
Can you go show me?
Yes, sir.
So you know how to set that on your own?
Yes, sir.
That's cool. I didn't even know he set this trap. Sometimes we'll have dead animals or rotten eggs or other things that can be used as bait. And if you have children who know how to operate stuff like this, then they can be actively involved in trapping stuff. And you guys actually caught another opossum when I was gone, right?
It was in the dog food one morning. I came out and I opened it and I was like, oh my, one of the cats got in here. And then I was like, no, that's not a cat.
Oh, wow. So this is the one you caught, huh, son?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, there's a lot of misconceptions about these things. I recently got a comment on a video about why I cannot tame baby opossums. And somebody goes, if you think those are going to kill your chickens, you know, you don't know what you're talking about or something like that. But what's the reality of the matter?
They do kill chickens, and they are really helpful, though.
Yeah, there's plenty of good things about these guys, but they will eat eggs, they will kill chicks, they will kill chickens. Those teeth aren't just for looks. You know, they are omnivores, which means they'll eat plants and vegetation, but they'll eat living creatures and dead creatures, and some of the living creatures they'll make dead, won't they?
Yes, sir.
Wow, well, good job, son. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And this is one of the options or the opportunities that we have here, you know, living out a lot of woods around here, a lot of stuff. We have our own animals, but then sometimes these live somewhere anyway. Sometimes the life you're living attracts different creatures. It's not always going to be a hands-on experience, but we like being able to look at them and observe them and check them out, you know, even if they're just inside the cage, at least closely. And as you'll see, you know, we don't have our 1-year-old out here. Chili Pepper's not here right now. Other things, when he saw that creature in the cage, we told him to stay back and not to touch. It's not a cat. You know, they're wild animals. They're not just little friends for us, but we can get a more hands-on education about them. And if you notice too, their ears look like they're made out of the same material as bat wings are. Pretty much opossums have ears made of bats. That's how I describe it.
This one is so pretty with her like black shade to it.
Oh yeah, people used to harvest them for their pelts. And I mean, they're rather luxurious. Oh, your guys' turkeys are getting so big.
Yeah. I don't know which one I like better, black or gray. They're both so pretty.
Well, good job, son. Way to eliminate a potential threat from our homestead. And this is the way we like to eliminate them. We like to live trap them, or sometimes I'll come out at night and just bare hand them, and then we give them a short ride far enough away where if they do find their way back, it'll take them a while.
Their paws are like fingerprints, each one.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, I like the kids just being able to observe stuff too and learning about creatures that way. So what are you doing with that thing today?
Just doing a commercial with her.
So we're working on a commercial because of why? Can you show me the book? That is our new book that is now available, and to help educate people about opossums. And we've been meaning to shoot a new commercial for it. We had an old one, but we lost it. And rather than trying to find it in our video history, which video we included it with, we figured we'd shoot a new one. And we thought if we had a friend, that would give us a good opportunity to have a live living prop, I guess, for the commercial.
She's doing a really good job for this.
You're not afraid?
No.
Not really?
She's really nice and healthy, and she's pretty good.
And of course, this is not her normal environment. It doesn't live on Pinky's lap. So it's a little uncomfortable. It's been drooling a bit. I don't know if you guys can see it glistening over there. And keeping its mouth open. But they're not terribly ferocious, although they are rather intimidating, aren't they?
Yeah.
You want to show them your commercial?
Yes. And now, a word from our sponsor. Opossums are the only marsupial in North America. They're very misunderstood, but they're incredible creatures. To help educate people, we wrote this fact-filled fiction book. It's packed full of information about the opossum and good for all ages. I took all the pictures and I helped write this book. To get your own copy, you can order it through Amazon, or you can get an autographed one through our Etsy shop. Hopefully, it'll help others to appreciate these creatures a lot more.
And as always, guys, with that commercial, because we sponsor ourselves with this book or with this video, we don't recommend other people do this, do we?
No.
No. Okay. We interact with a lot of wild animals on a pretty regular basis, and my children have a certain understanding of the real world. But just because you see us do something doesn't mean you should. Or if you see one, you know, eating your cat food at night, just run out and start petting it. Not a good idea a lot.
Yeah.
Think we should go relocate it a little bit?
Yeah.
I was just about to do a run to gas up the vehicle before the weekend and thought if we shoot this video first, then we don't have to have her detained too long because it was caught last night. Oh.
She's so cute.
Yes.
So here's another good example. We get a lot of hands-on education. What type of creature is that? Is that an amphibian or a bird or a mammal or a fish or a reptile? Anyone know?
It's a snake.
Yeah, but what type of animal is a snake?
I think a reptile.
A reptile, yeah. And that one is a snake. And snakes generally come in two different kinds. What are they?
Like that.
What are the main kinds of snakes? There's non-venomous. And what are those? Pretty safe, right?
Yeah.
And there's venomous, which are more dangerous. So what one is this?
Like penny. Well,
Right, what kind is this? So is this venomous or non-venomous?
Non-venomous.
Non-venomous. And guys, in the United States, the North American pit vipers, your rattlesnakes, cottonmouths, and copperheads are the main ones you got to worry about. And the only other one is the coral snake. So if it's not one of those kinds of snakes, the rest of them that are indigenous or native are non-venomous, and they don't really need to be frightened. You know, you don't need to be scared of them in the same way you would a venomous snake. This one could still bite, right?
yeah.
It was just a wild one that was crossing the road, and rather than have one of the neighbors kill it or somebody run it over on the street, I just picked it up and we're going to let it go on our property. Does anyone know the scientific name of this one? It's a king snake. So what's that mean?
Actually, a king snake.
Well, a prairie king snake's another kind, but do you remember how that starts? Like, for instance, the non-venomous water snakes we normally... What's that?
Is it Lampropeltis?
It is Lampropeltis. So just to make sure people are talking about the right kind of snake, the right species, they give them scientific names in Latin. What was that?
I was just thinking of different names.
Try it again.
Lampropeltis holbrooki, and then there's another one.
Yes, Lampropeltis holbrooki. So the name in Latin for this species, the scientific name, is what bug? Lampropeltis holbrooki. And what's the yellow-bellied king snake, or the prairie king snake? Lampropeltis
Caligaster?
caligaster, yes. Bug, what are the non-venomous water snakes? Like a northern water snake or a midland water snake or a plain-bellied water snake. Do you remember what their group is? What's it, son?
Neurodia cypodon?
Neurodia. So we have Neurodia cypodon. And what's the other one? Neurodia erythrogaster?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the northern water snake, Neurodia cypodon. The plain-bellied water snake, Neurodia erythrogaster. Gives us a chance to learn some different languages, identify things by their scientific names, then also learn about them too. That one really wants to go, doesn't it, daughter?
Yeah.
Why don't you let one of the boys hang on to it? Maybe it'll be a little more chill.
This one rolling around my hand.
It does. And has it ever tried to bite you?
No.
Nope, it was just trying to wiggle and get away. But this is one thing that we have an opportunity to do too, is to educate, and especially when it comes to things like this, I want my children to be incredibly educated about things that could potentially kill them. So if there are venomous snakes, we want to learn a lot about them. And if there's non-venomous snakes that we don't need to be afraid of in the same way we would treat a venomous snake, then I want my children not to have a crazy, irrational fear. There's so many adults that would almost pee their pants and run screaming away of a snake like this. And in the United States, guys, there's never going to be a snake like this that you encounter that looks anything like this that's going to be venomous. Now, my children can know that. They can know that it's a speckled king snake. They can know that it's Lampropeltis holbrooki, you know, for their scientific name. They can understand that. And I don't mind educating them and giving them that type of education. And what else have we seen? Have we seen different reptiles and stuff hatch from eggs?
Yes, sir.
We've got a really cool video. I'll put a card up in the corner here of 5 different types of wild reptiles that we were able to hatch in our own hands sometimes. You guys have seen wild animals, wild reptiles hatch in your own hands?
Yes, sir.
How cool was that?
Cool. Really
It was cool. A lot of people will never do that. Even when I was over here, a mechanic friend of mine was doing some work for me. We were riding in the van and I saw that on the street. His family's from Mexico originally, grew up in California and stuff, and things are just, you know, rattlesnakes and different stuff. Sometimes people just treat every snake as if it's deadly. But I spent some time teaching him a little bit, teaching his children a little bit, and you know, he was comfortable letting his children check it out. But we also stressed wild animals you leave alone. If a child sees a snake on the ground, we don't just run up and play with it, do we?
No.
No. So just an opportunity for us to get some hands-on education, appreciate some of the different creatures here. And I like to view every opportunity as pretty much an educational opportunity, a chance to increase knowledge and understanding rather than ignorance. So with something like this will be let go here on our property. It'll be here. If my children find it later, they're not going to be able to grab it. If they see a snake, which is why we have them work in pairs, one of them is going to stand there and watch the snake from a safe distance while the other one comes and gets an adult. And once Mom or I give them an accurate confirmation that they've accurately identified it, then we'll let them interact with them. We'll let them check them out. We'll let them, you know, enjoy things. But just an opportunity to learn more, kind of in a hands-on way. You know, a field trip, not exactly in the classroom, to check out some of the different creatures God made. What do we got in the cooler, son?
Minnows.
Minnows. So we might get a chance to go do some gar fishing here. We've got some live bait, and some of them died, so we froze some of them. I guess we got a couple more to freeze.
Yes, sir.
But what do we get to do if we catch fish?
We get to eat bigger fish than the minnows.
Yeah. And what do we get to do when we get the bigger fish?
Have fun and clean them.
Clean them. And what do we do when we either butcher our own animals that we raised ourselves, or get to go fishing and clean a fish? What do you get to learn about that's inside the animals?
Different body parts.
Different body parts. So even, you know, teaching a kid to fish lets them appreciate the ecosystem, some different biology and stuff. And then if they're able to clean fish, which this guy will clean his own fish, he'll help me, and he'll either head them and gut them and scale them, or he'll fillet them. He can do gar. I know adults who wouldn't even know how to open a gar. This guy's pretty skilled at it. And then we can, as we remove the guts and different stuff, learn a lot about the different body parts, and the same thing with raising our own animals. That's one way I like having to be too, where if your education is connected to your lifestyle, it means more to you. Our children can not only provide in the garden or with the raising of animals some really tasty food, but they can sit there and dissect them too for a purpose. We don't just kill a bunch of bullfrogs to cut them apart like they would do in some schools. We'll cut apart a chicken and we'll learn about all sorts of different parts in there, and then we'll eat the chicken and we'll eat some of the parts. Who are these behind you?
Our sheep.
What kind of sheep are they? How many of them were born on our property? Most of them, or just a couple?
Most of them.
Most of them. So another opportunity here with the sheep, you guys learn about genetics, and you learn about all sorts of different stuff, don't you?
Yes, sir.
You learn about health, right, with taking care of them. You learn about diet, nutrition. But they'll learn about the nutrition with the way that they feed them, and health with taking care of them. They'll learn about genetics with breeding them, and even some of our stuff after a while with the breeding of our homestead animals, our sheep, our chickens, or other things. I turn that over to my children a lot and give them a good amount of free reign with kind of setting up the breeding programs, arranged marriages, if you will, running the incubators, or making sure the mama hens or ducks or guineas are sitting on their eggs and what they're going to do. And it gives them just another hands-on, connected to the real world and real life education opportunity that I'm not sure if you gave me an incubator right now, I'd be able to go from memory and successfully do it. Now, if I gave this one here an incubator right now. She'd be able to do it from memory, right?
Yes.
And just set everything up and hatch everyone out. And if I gave her like 3 different types of eggs and had guinea eggs, duck eggs, and chicken eggs, I bet you she could put them all in there at the right time, that even though they have different incubation periods, that they could all hatch on the same day or the same couple days. So that's kind of part of it, guys. Gardening gets into a whole different realm of it too. The homestead animals do, the wild animals do, the providing for yourself in the fishing and the harvesting of animals. You know, there's so many things that you can learn in a classroom. You can learn by just cutting up frogs and killing them for, you know, no purpose. That we can learn by providing food for our family. We can learn by living this type of lifestyle, and it's not always, you know, like with Bugger, where it's something that it's a playtime. But that's really not a playtime for a kid his age per se, because of the way his mind works and gearing things towards the individuals. I'm able to do that for part of his education, and he's able to learn a lot by doing something like that. But there's plenty of people who could grab a 10, 11, 12-year-old and they would not want to be involved with a project like that at all. But he can do it at 5, you know. I'm teaching him to do that. What do you got?
This is our splash Polish rooster.
Wow. Look at that crazy head. Yeah. And you're going to breed him with some Splash Americanas maybe?
I'm hoping to, and then I'm going to breed some purebred ones, but then probably breed some with him.
Cool.
Look at his feet.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a little of our life here. That's a little of the way we try to connect life to education and education to life. And it's not just trying to indoctrinate or, you know, focus on isolating a skill. A lot of it overlaps. You know, besides just copying the Bible, our children have a number of pen pals, both friends and family, that they're able to work on their penmanship. They're able to work on sentence structure. They're able to work on spelling and punctuation, and then communication, and build a relationship. Yes, they could write the same word 50 times on a sheet and turn it in and we could give them an A. But when they use that word in a sentence, have it connected to some stuff, and then are actually building a relationship with somebody who lives a distance away, that's pretty cool too. We can make a copy for our records, mail the original off to the person, and then they get a reply to it. And it just kind of continues. And then over time you can see them progress in sentence structure and in spelling and penmanship and things like that, you know. Just some different advices or tips or ways to incorporate life into education and education into life. So, if there's other ideas you guys got, feel free to share them. I was really impressed with Bugger's meticulous paying attention to detail to sort through doing those things. And I'm looking forward to him, you know, like I said, completing the other ones too. But that was part of the thing. We're here. We're going to set him down at a table, and while other people work on their projects, this is your project right now. And it was like a reward and a blessing for him. But also, he's learning, you know, while he enjoys himself. Now, what are you doing? Kitties?
Yes,
All right.
they're crazy things.
They are crazy things. We'll see you later, guys. Papa out.
Thank you for watching. And the next one. Thumbs up. But well.
The cow head is good?
Yeah.
That's because you know.